Image is what other people see. Identity is what you do when no one's watching. There was a time in my life where I wanted everybody to see something, but it wasn't congruent.
There is a big difference between being nice and being kind. Being nice is, you're fat, you're overweight, oh, but don't worry, I'll pat you on the back and tell you everything's gonna be all right. It's not gonna be all fucking right. If you're in the fitness industry and you don't care about coaching and you don't care about changing lives, fucking get out. You have to know who you are, what you stand for, and where you're going in life.
If you're trying to escape coaching now, when you haven't become a great coach, when you haven't built the results, when you haven't built the reputation, that's the thing that's gonna stand you here in 10 years' time.
We are making kids pussies. They are weak, not resilient. Children are afraid of failing because they're being given 8th place trophies, participation medals, participation certificates.
For the last 2 years, I've been on a mission to make as much money and to build a bigger business as possible.
And where did it land you?
Very unfulfilled. I've lost a lot of money in the process. It's cost me a lot of money, but it's the best I feel. Because what I stand for is...
Welcome to the Mark Coles and the Chase Life podcast.
Rach, good for us to be back.
I was going to say this is a quarterly event, but it's actually 6 months ago that we were last here.
Well, we promised when we all got together at the weekend that we will do this more regularly, because the feedback was really, really awesome from the last one, wasn't it?
It was. And you know what? We enjoy talking. So
we enjoy talking, and we've just been talking about how long are we allowed to talk rather than is there a cutoff? Because I think, as you said when we walked in, the gold for us is when we actually get to freely flow and discuss. And so much has happened in the last 6 months, whether it's tech, the industry moving fast, even ourselves and how we're evolving. And I do feel that as long-standing members of the fitness industry and evolving entrepreneurs and parents, there's a lot we can discuss that will bring a lot to both of our listening. Yeah.
You know, if we were the same people sat here today as we were 6 months ago, we're not growing.
Something would be wrong. And
something would be very wrong. And, you know, even 3 months ago, you think back to June of this year, we're now September, I'm a wildly different person to who I was back then. And so, yes, everything is going really quickly. I think in today's day and age, we have to be more authentic than ever. I think that's, you know, kind of comes, if we look at a trend of AI coming in, then authenticity is on the same scale, but we almost need to be faster, bringing our true, real and authentic selves to our life and our business, because otherwise you get lost in the middle and you're going to get lost to tech and you're going to get lost to AI. And I think one of the things in the industry, I mean, you'll see this because you're more at the forefront than I am, of tech and AI overtaking a lot of what we do as trainers. It
is. And I think that it's a great opportunity for us to open up today's conversation with what we're noticing in the fitness industry. We're having to pivot, you and I. You know, you're in the health and fitness space and the entrepreneurship space and the transformation coaching space. And whether I'm teaching business or not, it's coaching at the end of the day. And where we see the kind of industry evolving is, I mean, the first thing to discuss is the mass of people out there. And if you go back when internet, you know, social media, Instagram and Facebook first started, it was easier. And there wasn't a rule book back then. It was post your training. I mean, you just shared stuff. But now I feel that there needs to be a lot more strategy behind what coaches are doing. And we've got coaches joining our world who are 22, 23. And I think the first thing you just touched on that is the authenticity. And we've talked about, you know, the fact that right now there is a heavy importance in being a personal brand and connecting with yourself, because we have this AI world, which I'm all for. I don't know about you, but I'm excited by it.
Me too.
Absolutely. It's making my life easier. It's speeding things up. But there is this middle ground that everybody still talks about, which is your authenticity, your personal brand, and connection. And to any kind of coach or anybody out there that's kind of fearful of the disruption of AI, the personal branding and the connection piece, I mean, you teach this in your world, trying to find that integral authenticity. How do we find that? How are you adapting? Let's start there. How are you adapting with what you're seeing?
So I have a phrase which everybody knows, and I say it time and time again: you have to know who you are, what you stand for, and where you're going in life. And it doesn't matter whether you're 21 and new to the fitness industry, or whether you're in your early 40s, or whether you're in your 60s as a C-suite exec. Knowing who you are, what you stand for in life, and where you're going is like your North Star. And that can change, by the way. So my North Star at 21, I knew who I was. I knew what I stood for then. I certainly partied a lot more then than I do now. And so knowing who you are, what you stand for, and where you're going in life at that point in time, but knowing that that can also evolve and change. And so I think a lot of people are afraid to commit to something, because then they're also afraid of saying, I was wrong, or actually that's no longer aligned for me. Welcome to life.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, welcome to life. There are certainly things that we did in our 20s as PTs that, are certainly not aligned for us now, but they were at the time. You're a former professional bodybuilder. I competed. There's no way on earth you would get me on stage now. It's just not in my realm, not in my world, and certainly not in my who I am, what I stand for, and where I'm going in life. I cannot think of anything worse than standing on stage and having some man judge my physique and tell me that I'm not lean enough or my glutes aren't big enough. There was a point in time there where that felt fun.
Important.
That felt fun, right?
Yeah.
It felt like a challenge for me. It's certainly not a challenge now. And so I think the connection here is being, and by the way, I do this in no more than a year's block. So when I'm working with a client, and I'm looking at this idea of getting to know yourself. You have to throw yourself in a deep end into personal development. And so if you're in your early 20s, throw yourself into the personal development world, because nothing is going to change your life faster than knowing yourself. And how do you do that? Well, you employ coaches, you work with people who are further ahead than you, you jump into personal development, you figure out what's aligned for you and what's not aligned for you. There are going to be some things, for example, the spirit world and the woo-woo world to me was completely out of my realm when I was in my 20s. I was hardcore science-based. I was only interested in data. I was only interested in the black and white. I've fully come out my spiritual closet now.
Yeah, I know.
Right? I only talk about resonance, frequency, and energy, because whether that's energy, frequency, resonance in body, business, health, life, that leads the way. Everything else will just follow. And so I always look at 6 to 12 months, I think, is a good marker of time. I think anything outside of 12 months is almost too far. So you can think about now, where are we? September of 2025. Where am I going to be? And where would I like to be? And where would I like my life to be in 12 months' time? And who do I need to become for that to become a reality? Because you need to become the person that gets the thing, rather than get the thing to become the person. So practically, people will say things like, oh, well, when I reach this particular weight, I once I hit 60 kilos, and then I'm going to feel like this hot, sexy female entrepreneur. But actually, you need to become that person first. How does she think? How does she act? How does she operate? How does that C-suite exec think, act, operate? How does she make decisions? She's probably quite blunt on text, right? Some of my best clients, they're also the most blunt on text. We do things quickly. We execute quickly. We don't have time for fluff, right? And somebody who doesn't see that and who doesn't understand those thoughts, habits, and behaviors of how somebody like that operates will say, oh, well, she's quite cold. No, not cold, efficient. There's a very big difference. So what we would do is we look at 6 to 12 months time on what you want more of in your life and work in alignment with that on knowing who you are, what you stand for, and where you're going in life, so that feels achievable. You're emotionally connected to it, and you have to be emotionally connected to something. You can't just want it, right? Everyone will be like, oh, well, I want the watch. I want the $100,000 a month. I want the car. Why? Because it's the emotion, it's the way that it makes you feel. So you can feel that way in the absence of having that thing. But there's nothing wrong with one in a car, one in a G-Wagon, one in a watch, one in a, 100K months, like, $3, $5, $10 million a year business, whatever it might be, that's fine. But just understand why you want it and the emotion connected to it. So this is why authenticity is important, because authenticity comes down to knowing who you are, what you stand for, and where you're going in life. But I only do it in these 12-month blocks because I feel personally that anything outside of that, and I've done this myself with a lot of our private clients who are, I guess, a lot more ambitious, we've got clients who are, running 9, 10, certainly 9-figure companies. And even with those clients, we find that anything over 12 months is too far. And so we have to work in this 12-month block because things then move really quickly. So anything outside of 12 months, you're too far from and too disconnected from. I remember being in my early 20s thinking, I want a $10 million company. Why? Well, because it sounded good on paper, honestly. That's probably why I wanted it. And I thought it would come with, the feeling of being proud of myself and working hard. And, back then my self-worth was being built on being busy and achieving and being a perfectionist and doing everything to what I believed was a high standard, which it wasn't. It was actually an impossible standard. So therefore I was always failing. In my mind, I was always failing. And so it's like this self-perpetuating feeling of never feeling good enough. But I was not connected to a $10 million turnover. I mean, that's ridiculous. But, the more I worked on my personal development and the more I worked in life and, the spirit world, you get connected to, okay, well, let's just start with $100,000 a year. If you're coaching out there and you're doing, $5K a month, well, to say that you want a $10 million company is unrealistic. It's not to say it can't happen. We can collapse time, but it's not realistic. Start with, make it 10K a month. That would be such an amazing, imagine how good you would feel.
Or start at 5.
Absolutely.
If you're a 0, let's go to 5. And I feel, Rach, this is...
Absolutely.
If I'm speaking my truth right now on this podcast today, I joined the fitness industry to help change lives. And there was, of course, there were mega millionaires out there in the world when I joined the fitness industry. My father was multimillionaire. I watched him building his business. But he always said to me, I know where I'm going and I know what I'm doing. So he never got distracted by other people.
Yes.
What you just said. I said, Dad, years ago, why do you I never hear you comparing yourself to other people, like what they've got, who they are. And he said, because I know where I'm going.
Yeah, what a gift.
He said, because I know where I'm going. He had no phones, hardly had the internet. He never looked at the internet. And one of the things that I feel is massive in the industry right now is you're completely right. Who you are, but where you're going. The problem is everybody is not like living. And I see this all the time. And one of my if I say, where am I going? Where am I going is to try and bring back the feeling of enough to coaches so that they've become fulfilled in their role. If they join the industry to change lives and help people, this year more than any, I've seen coaches that even we've helped build teams of 3 coaches end up back with 1 coach and a lot happier because they've seen the entrepreneurs of the world telling them, you should never buy a house. You should be making 10 million a year. You should have the car. You should have the watch. So what's happened, in my opinion, is that they've become disconnected with what really matters to them. And they've injected the values of other people's wealth and success that they're now talking because that's the things that gets them the views. And it's the truth. 10 years down the line, they're probably making 10 to 20 million. But if we take it back to their first 1 to 2 years, they're trying to get there through a skill and a passion and behaviors conducive with the thing that they love the most. And therefore, that coach right now in the fitness industry, I don't want you to love your love of coaching. I don't. I still love coaching. This afternoon, I've got 3 hours of coaching. I'm not trying to escape it. Like I spoke to a coach yesterday and said, are you trying to escape coaching? I said, no. So why are you following an entrepreneur that's telling you that success is deemed in how few hours you work? Why are you following a mentor that's telling you that success is like that? That's crazy. I'm still, follow me if you want to work hard because I'm not where I want to be yet. And therefore my working hours has to be fulfilled with high value tasks that's going to get me to where I want to be with the business model, the revenue, the quality of everything. I've got to put the graft in. But if you're trying to escape coaching now, when you haven't become a great coach, when you haven't built the results, when you haven't built the reputation, that's the thing that's going to stand you here in 10 years time. In fact, it's what's the thing that's made the company's owners 10 millions. Plus some of the people you're following have built SaaS companies.
Very different. Very
it's
different.
Not coaching.
It's not coaching.
I looked at a model the other day and someone said, realistically, if you're doing 2 to 3 million as a company, you need about 5 to 6 employees with AI. And I looked at that, and because I'm a little bit older, I went, well, I've got 15 because I'm a coaching brand. And therefore, because I've got hundreds of clients, I have to have coaches coaching my clients, because I'm not going to say, well, we're going to have 80 clients to one coach, because they can't manage that number. So we have to have a higher cost in the business to manage those people. So I know what my business needs. And these coaches don't know what their business needs because they're chasing a figure. And what you've just said is, where are you trying to get to? I'm trying to be a world-class coach. I'm going to be focusing my energy on coaching clients and getting results. And I'm not there yet. Great. So your income has to be aligned with the speed of which you're growing. And that's not to say when we work with coaches, we don't go from 3K to 5K to 7K to 10. But the funny thing is, the coaches that get to 20K, for example, they get stuck. And it's not that we're trying to force them to make more money. It's just 70% of their week, they need to focus on the reputation, the brand, the service, delivery, and results. Because the ones that are trying to make 50, 60, 70K, they've ditched the coaching because their focus is money. And that's the big disconnect with what I've just explained, is the fact that if there's an authenticity around coaching, service, and delivery, it's going to delay the speed in which you're going to grow money. It's got to, because more effort's got to be put into developing your craft, your knowledge, your skills. So for the last 2 years, I've been on a mission to make as much money and to build a bigger business as possible.
And where did it land you?
Very unfulfilled. It left me with a team of 29, ridiculous costs, onwards to the revenue target. I truly do believe that it was starting to dent the reputation that I care about. Who am I? What matters to me? What was the middle one you said?
So who you are, what you stand for.
Right.
What do you stand for? Yeah.
What I stand for, in the last 6 months, I've reconnected. We're now down to 14 team members from 29. We've now 50% reduced our costs in the company.
It's amazing.
50%. I've lost a lot of money in the process. It's cost me a lot of money, but it's the best I feel, because what I stand for is coaching, service, results, reputation. What I don't stand for is I don't want to be known for a guy that made people 100,000 a month. I actually don't. I want to be known for somebody that's helping somebody grow a business. The monetary figure will always be determined by growth. Your physique will ultimately be determined by your consistent commitment to growth. So as long as somebody's growing in all areas of their business, their self, their spirituality, their health, their family, their income, then over the next 5 to 7 years, one of my clients, I'll leave you on this for a second. One of my clients said to me yesterday, 4K to 47K in 4 years. Thank you.
Insane.
Thank you. No, sorry, 3 years. Doesn't matter whether it's 3 or 4. The point is, it's delayed.
Can we just have a minute there to talk about like how real life this is?
Real life.
Because we see on the fucking internet and Instagram, like, oh, I went from, 2K to $100,000. And I'm like, for how long, and how long are you going to sustain now? Because you're not the person who's $100,000 a year business owner.
That point, remember, we've got to talk today about what we see on socials versus what we see in life.
What we're seeing in real life.
You've just said that right now. What I see on social media, and I'm going to say this now, there are people out there at the moment that are using other people's results and saying this person's made this level of money, this is what they've done. And I'm like, but it's not the true reality of what you see really going in. And I always promise my clients, when I share wins, I'll always give some context. And yes, I think it's very important for me to share revenue wins. But what's really truthful behind the scenes is the honesty. Yes. And the integrity of what it's taken to get there. And that's a real thing for me, because like you said, there is a difference between what we see on Instagram and what we see somebody doing and living in real life. What has it taken for that person to go from 4K to 100K in 6 months?
Well, let's just use a body transformation as an example. So you used to be a prep coach, bodybuilding prep coach. When you and I met, we've been friends for many, many years now. Many years. And so we've been in the industry together for over 20 years. We've known each other for over 20 years. When I walked into your office, and this would have been, 15 years ago, I came up to Nottingham and I walked into your office and you said to me, I'm not going to tell you you've got a great physique. You already know that. We're here to make it better. And I was like, fucking sold, right? He's not here to bullshit me. But But what you could have done, which would have been very easy for you to do, would to take my 15 to 20 years of prior training experience to that, put me on stage, got me some little medals, plastic trophies.
Taking the
screenshots and said, we did this in 12 weeks. This is a 12-week body transformation. No. That's a 20-year body transformation. So if I came to you now in my physique and we did the same thing applies, right? I've got 25 years of training experience. Yeah, for sure, you would have helped with training and nutrition, the strategy, et cetera, et cetera. What about the $500,000 that I've invested in my personal professional development up until this point in time? My mindset, how I operate, how I run my business, my connection to energy and spirit, to all of these things, right? My support systems, my support network, my overall health, my metabolic health, my resilience, right? My delusional optimism we'll touch on later. It's all of that.
Internal health challenges. We've all had them.
Exactly
right?
that.
How have I overcome them? Who have I invested in? What help? What you're now getting to work on is the product of what I've spent 15 to 20 years building the foundation for you for.
So what I bet you feel the same about me on this, is that I love watching people win. It's one of my, in our group.
You say this a lot.
So in my group, so I have a fitness app called Onyx Performance, and in Onyx, in our community, we've got a channel called Brags and Wins. And I actively ask the girls, I'm like, share your brags, share your wins. Like, tell me what's fucking good in your life. Like, tell me what's good. I want some of that. And I cannot tell you the number of women that say my favorite channel is the Brags and Wins. It feels so good to watch somebody else win. But it's even sweeter if I've had a very small part to play in it. These ladies who I'm working with, they're all high performers. They're all, C-suite exec, business owners. They're all doing really well. They're crushing life. Right? And if I've had a small part to play in that success because we've worked on their emotional freedom, we have worked on their body transformation, they show up as the hot, healthy version of themselves, who they know they are inside, and now the external matches the internal. Just like, that's so good to me. And I bet you feel the same, where you've had coaches who have been through the ringer. They've spent a decade or more in an industry really struggling, but they've done the work. Like, technically they've done the work, but they're just missing these one or two nuanced principles. They're hard workers. They're prepared to do the work. They just need a little bit of guidance. Sometimes some CTJs. So come to Jesus moments of, hey, this isn't working for you. If what you're doing is not working for you, you need to do something different. And so if you have a small part to play in that, it feels so good as a coach. And don't lose, if you're listening to this as a trainer, don't lose sight of that. You don't take full credit. This is a DeMartini thing, right? You and David have done a lot more DeMartini work than I have. Yeah. But you don't take full credit. You don't take full blame. It's in that neutral. Balance. It feels good. Yeah. I allow myself to feel good. Like, if I've had an impact in somebody's life, I allow myself to feel good because it motivates me and inspires me to grow and to have a bigger impact. And I bet you feel the same. You never take credit.
No.
But you never take blame.
I feel in a world as well whereby, genuinely, what I wake up for in the morning is human change and evolution growth. What do I stand for? I really care. One of the things that's unique to me in my, I say unique to me, it's my journey. I'm so freaking proud of who I've become through the discovery work, the personal development, the thousands I've invested, from a shallow, weak, low in self-confidence guy to a voice and authority and a brand and great connections and great friendships. What I'm inspired by the most is actually playing a part in something that long. When somebody says 3 years, if somebody says I've been with you 3 months and I've gone from here to here, I'm like, give me a bit of depth. How have you changed? How is this going to stay long term? I used to love going into Waitrose when I lived in my hometown and bumping into a client that I'd seen 3 years ago that was still in the same shape. How have you evolved? How have you changed? Now, over the last 6 months, I've had not just an epiphany because I've worked to find it out, but I felt disconnected.
I was going to ask you, so my question is, how did you know that you were out of alignment? Like, what did it feel like? How did you know, like, what was showing up for you where you felt like things were out of alignment, aside from the fact that, you're just black and white in the numbers, or just what did it feel like, and how did you go about changing that?
Well, the first thing is I'm a feel person. I don't have a lot of friends because I don't think that I love depth. You and David are two of my closest, and my wife and I's closest friends. And when we meet, we just have the most wonderful time, and the conversations we talk about life, spirituality, health, children, growth, wealth, business. It's just a diverse conversation. And in our business, we were attracting people into our world. And I didn't feel anything with those people. And the thing I felt was they didn't care about coaching.
Oh, that's like, as a coach,
They didn't care.
You know, as a coach, and I know you feel this more deeply even than I do. I actually find that fucking offensive. Sorry, I'm just going to call it out. That's so offensive. Like, if you're in the fitness industry and you don't care about coaching and you don't care about changing lives, fucking get out.
Well, there's a fake care, because the caring's all about how fast you can make money, how quickly you can exit to a certain degree of the business so that you can have no time to just do whatever you want. And I get that. It's a business model. It just doesn't connect with me.
No.
If you're coming into the fitness industry and your goal is not just changing lives in a meaningful way, but also I'm really inspired by somebody that's quite educated. Like, do you understand about nutrition and training, or have you just literally got in shape yourself? I don't have that connection with somebody. So what happened for us is a few things that happened here. We had exponential growth, and I wasn't inspired to design a coaching program. Our churn rate was going up, right? And basically people were leaving.
Would you say that is one of the first red flags in any business related to coaching?
Well, I think if you're working with the right people, they stay.
Yes.
Because I'm very good at coaching.
Yes.
And my team are very good at coaching.
So the confidence and authenticity comes first,
Absolutely.
right? You know you're good at what you do. And so so a high churn rate with high ownership, because, you know, we can all improve, or we get that, but high confidence, high ownership. I know I'm good at what I do, right? That's the number one thing. You have to be good at what you do. But with a high churn rate, those two are not
here's
matching.
the disconnect. I came through the fitness industry from the age of 22 into my early 30s, 10 years. My relentless, like you, Rach, pursuit of education was graft. It was reading. It was listening to MP3s back then. It was going on traveling on planes, and it was accepting that I didn't know anything until I kept studying and traveling. And so that was a really painful journey of delayed gratification. It was insane, just insane hard work, and then failing things, getting them right, training. Even my bodybuilding was a journey of delayed gratification, to look in the mirror and not like what you see, but be prepared to do a photo shoot because it's better than it was last time, but still know that it weren't there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when I speak to somebody and I say, building an online business, when you get a client, you're able to coach them. But until you get a client, it is about digital marketing. It is about branding. It is about speaking your truths. It is about being a leader. It is about speaking on camera. And despite what everybody thinks, it is about sales. You have to learn how to use positioning, messaging, and psychological framing to help somebody make a decision to move towards something that they want, but they are blocking themselves through beliefs and doubts and fears, whatever it is, through your model. So when somebody comes to us who's a coach that's studied, that's worked hard, that's worked on their body, that's trained, when you then say, now we're moving into the next season of your life, which is delayed gratification because the business side is tough, they go, doesn't matter, I'm a grafter. But if you've got somebody that's, not really done a lot in their life yet, not really developed much of it, maybe they've trained and they've got some half decent genetics, and then you say, now you've got to graft to build a business, they go, that's not what I want. So we had a lot of those in our scale program. We're coaching above 15K a month, and for our build program. So we called them the dreamers. So we had the influencers coming into the world that have grown a great following, 100,000 plus, but they're not monetizing it. So they would come in and they would see what it takes to build a business and a brand. They've built a personal figurehead, but who's making no money. But now you need to be a better marketer and salesperson to actually turn it to cash. They didn't want to do the work. And then on the other side, you've got the dreamer coaches that are going, oh, the online looks great. And we go, great, well, we'll sell you in. So I lost my integrity there, and we brought them in, hundreds of people. And our performance coaches are all great coaches, knowledgeable, skilled, expertise at what they do. And they go, mate, Mark, they're not doing the work. They just won't do it. Some people would pay thousands and not even do one check-in with their coach. Like, why would you do that? Because you actually don't want to build a business. When you look at it head on, you don't want to do the work. So I said, well, we're not working with the right people. We're actually accepting people that aren't good coaches, that get good results and care about their knowledge. We're accepting people beneath that. So we changed our positioning. And we took 3 months as a company, sitting down saying, who do we want to work with? What's my integrity? It really took a dent to my ego because it meant us halving our turnover.
And so let's touch on the importance of numbers here as well, because what a lot of coaches will do, especially if you're new to business, and especially if you're new to, very fast growth and high levels of income, you get the watch, you get the car on finance, and then you've got no money in the bank, you've got no safety net. And, I'm all for investing, and a lot of, our cash is invested, but you should always have 6 to 12 months buffer of cash accessible to you today to take you through whatever is going to be unexpected moving forward. Ride the storm.
So I hit a storm.
Yeah.
Now, I'll be very, very honest. I won't tell you how much, but I have quite a lot of money in my bank account. And when I moved to Dubai, you'll know this from spirituality, something was guiding me to not spend it. And I even went to work with my personal development coach, because the real estate game in here in Dubai is so loud. If you've got money to invest, you've got to be emotionally stable.
Yeah, completely.
And I wasn't.
Yeah.
I invested in a villa here. I made a sizable chunk of money on it. I got the money in the bank. And then this ego started to say, spend, spend, spend. One of the hardest things I've done for the last year is sit on more money than I've ever had in my bank. But it makes me feel great. I feel stable. I feel non-emotionally reactive. I'm watching the industry with the property market, but I'm doing this for a very good reason. We hit a storm.
But you didn't know it was coming, but the talk about that gut feeling now.
Something was telling me spiritually to not spend the money on property, because something was coming. And I was on the rise of this revenue growth with this big team, but because it didn't feel right, my internal genius, I call it, was going, you don't feel good. I went, okay, if I don't feel good, don't start spending. So I sat on the cash and I went, I've got to address why I'm not happy. The team were not as happy. The training and development wasn't there. So I was like, right, what have I got to do? And what I've got to do is actually go, Mark, what's your authenticity? What do I care about the most? And where do I want to go? And where I want to go, honestly, is I want to try and get to the destination that I want within the business coaching space, with my integrity and reputation intact as a coach that cares about clients and coaching. And I know a lot of people have their model and say they care about their clients. I get that. But I want to make sure coaching is a fundamental part of what we do. And to do that, we had to change our positioning, our offer, our messaging, our ads. Our team had to be on board. And then you need to have 4 to 5 months while your content starts to change, while your brand evolves. And I got back to me. And what I was doing, and I made this mistake in the industry, I went straight down the route of every other business mentor that said, I'm going to teach you how to make money. You need to do this with this, this with this, this with this to make money. But I didn't make my reputation doing that.
No. Your reputation was built upon
coaching, service, results, and standards.
Exactly.
High standards. And high standards of myself. And that's why we align so well, because you've got exceptional standards for yourself and what you expect. And I then, through that realignment, repositioning, and rebranding with the team, have had more messages saying, I love the old you's back. So if I can fast forward 10 years time, at 58 years of age, and someone says, you really made an impact in this industry about being able to make money with integrity and with your reputation intact. And if that now means that we've had to strip back our client numbers by 50%, which was a reduction in revenue by 50%, reduce our costs, reduce our team, and stay integral, I know what profit I want to make. And I know that the business is going through some changes right now, but There is nothing happier for me. When somebody's goal is to make 10 to 20 million in life and they build the business model, 9 times out of 10, it's a fantastic business model. But it's full of people in there that if you sat them around the table, the one thing they talk about is money. But I want to be around a table of coaches that are making great money, having a life of independence and doing whatever they want to do. I've got coaches in my program that are paying for their parents' mortgages. They're making 60% profit margin on 40K months. Like,
real life.
It's real life.
Real
But
life.
when you look at their socials and you talk to them about it, the first thing they don't go, I've got this, I've got that, I've got that. They're so proud of their coaching brand, the clients, the service and deliverables. So where I lost myself was letting go of that.
Yeah.
And I know the industry felt that. And do you know what, this podcast and other stuff I've been doing, I've been so vulnerable about it. And the reason being is I don't want to bring somebody in that says, how quickly can you get me to 100K months? I'm like, let me help you build the brand. Let me help you build your character, your identity, your entrepreneurship skills. Let me help you develop the team, the leadership and the systems. And then all that fundamentals maintained in place. When we start to scale it, then all the revenue is going to come, but it's not going to be in 6 months' time.
It absolutely won't. And I can sit here now and categorically tell you that if you still want to be in a fitness industry in 10 years' time, if you're listening to this and you want to be in a fitness industry in 10 years' time, you have to do it this way. There is no other way. You will not be here as a coach. If someone's listening to this and you're in your 20s or in your 30s, starting your career in the fitness industry, you will not be here in 10, 15 years' time. This is not going to be a career path for you unless you show up as who you really are, not who you think you should be.
I was having a conversation with, I won't mention his name just because, he hasn't actually told me that I could mention this, but it's not private, because it's a very, very subtle thing that he said that really made me sit back. I was at Zuma in Mykonos with my wife, and it's a great friend of ours, Tafik, is very heavily involved in Zuma. But one of the evenings we were at Zuma, we were with Tafik and the manager who was opening up the Mykonos new Zuma Beach Club. We were having a conversation, and I just was fascinated with the brand. I was like, you're not throwing these up, are you? He was like, no. He said, we're doing this one, and it was sponsored by Louis Vuitton all over. It looked amazing. And I said, what's the plan? He goes, we're not going to be rapidly growing these because you can make money fast, but you can't build a brand fast. And we want this to be a beach club brand. So we want to bed it in, settle it, see how it works. And I was like, I came home, and it was probably one of the most pivotal conversations I've had about brand building, is that if somebody is in the fitness industry right now, they will over the next 5 to 7 years make a lot of money if they're just focused on making money. But if the deep core of you is coaching, service delivery, helping clients, building a reputation, getting consistent results, but actually still being embedded in that aspect of it, because SaaS and making money and all those types of things and all the other, tech industries or whatever it is, or real estate, it is about building wealth and accumulating investments. And I love that because I invest and I do that. But my vehicle towards that is something that can't be as fast as that if I want to stay true to me. And that's the big thing with me. And that's why I think that you as a fitness professional should decide, there are business mentors that will teach you the fast cash route and you're going to make a lot of money. But if it doesn't feel aligned to you, and that's what I want coaches to be very, very clear, that if you want to build the fast cash, go down the route and the influence of Instagram or whatever you want to do, just hard. But if you want to build a brand and care, it's not going to be as quick, but it's going to be money that's going to be here and growing consistently over time. And that's what I feel. I want to make sure there's a divide, because for a while I think there was just one track for business coaching. I want to pick the business mentorship that's going to get me there the quickest. I'm like, my friend, you need to understand which business mentor or person aligns with you first, because where they've gone, they're going to shape you into going there. But if you don't want to go there, don't allow that person to shape you. So when you've been burnt, you've not been burnt. You just chose the wrong person.
Absolutely.
You just chose the wrong person.
Absolutely. And so let's look at then building a brand and building your following, because you can create wildly connected fans, or you can just build a fan base of followers. Now, I don't know about you. I don't want followers. I want wild raving fans. And so when I launched Onyx Performance earlier in the year, I believe that was just after our last conversation, I have had clients come back to our new education coaching platform who worked with me 15 years ago. Now, that to me was, I had no idea that they were going to sign up, right? So with our sign up process, it's a monthly subscription. So it was like $129 a month, or it was like $130,000 for the year. And so when I launched Onyx, I had a goal of getting the first 100 in by this time. And then we were going to sit and obviously do all the snagging that's involved, create some new systems, because even though you have used systems in your structures, there's always fuck ups and there's always things that you need to improve upon. What was actually the best part about it is how many of my old clients came back. And, to the point where it was quite, it was amazing. And, some of those have become private clients again. And so when you operate from that place of, this is just who I am. I never had a massive social media following in the early days. I mean, I started social media back when it launched, right? So we've been in the game a very long time. I think 2009, I started posting videos on YouTube, but it was only 2011, 2012 that I started with, Facebook and then eventually Instagram. But people feel you. They feel that connection to you. And so one of my big things now is, and we've touched on this before we started this podcast, is it's so important to me that when somebody comes on my Instagram, I know I'm disruptive, right? It's part of who I am. So in my brand, I'm disruptive. I'm a little bit rebellious. I could be a little bit wild. I tell it how it is. I'm very authentic. People say, oh, you're quite aggressive with a no bullshit approach. I'm like, yes, I haven't got time. I don't have time. I work with very busy people. We don't have time to waste trialing things. So I bring my experience. I use I take what is useful, discard what is not. So yes, I'm quite direct, right? I can be very disruptive. If somebody works with me, I'm pretty much going to guarantee that I'm going to violate everything else that they have been told to do up until that point in time. And I'll explain why. But what you see on my channels, whether it be visually, whether it be you meet me in person, I'm exactly the same person. I look like my images. And yes, I do professional photo shoots. I show up on Reels all of the time. I've got a whole team who does all of this stuff for me now. But from the very beginning, I never had that in the beginning. In the beginning, it was just me and my little selfie stick and talking to camera. And, I can go back and, people will say to me, well, how did you get so good on Reels? And I'm like, I practice and I embraced the suck. And I was so shit. On camera in the early days. But you just try and you try again and you try again and you embrace the suck. But you should be, if you're on Instagram, and a lot of coaches now, we need Instagram. I don't have TikTok on my phone, but my team, apparently I do have TikTok. My team does it. But you need to have a presence, but allow that presence to be your authentic presence, because those people that follow you will know in your heart that they're following you for the real you. You never have to question yourself as to whether they're following you because do they like this persona that I put out online, or do they actually genuinely like the real me? I have thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of people follow me every month, and a percentage of that will unfollow me, because they'll see a post that has maybe talked to them, and then I'll post something else where I can be a little bit disruptive, because that's in my nature and that's authentic to me. I'm not trying to be antagonistic. It's genuinely real for me to tell you what I believe my truth is based on my experience. And they don't like that, and that's okay. And the number of private clients, high-paying private clients that we have had in the business that have said, the usual route is, I started to follow Rachel. She said something that triggered me, so I unfollowed for a bit. I went with somebody else. I didn't get the results. I started to come back, and I realized that she held a mirror up to me. And they end up paying 10, 15, 20 grand to change their life with us, right? And that's amazing. We set them then off on their journey. And bear in mind, when you work with a mentor, it's never finished. And I think sometimes when people look for mentors, if you're a coach and you're new to the industry and you're new to personal development, you'll work with various different people. Know that the $5,000 that you're going to spend with a business mentor like Mark is not going to be the last $5,000 that you spend. People will think, oh, well, this is like the final solution. I'll tell you now, buddy, there's no final solution. This is a constant evolution. You should be having a percentage of your annual revenues going towards personal and professional development. If you don't have that, I'm sorry, you're not a good coach. You really have to be investing in yourself continually, every single year, thinking about CPD, thinking about how you can develop yourself personally, professionally. Don't work with more than one coach at a time in the same area. So one of the criteria that we have, if David and I are going to bring on private clients, we won't work with a private client if they're seeing a nutritionist, they're seeing, like a mobility trainer for this. No. It's my rules. It's my way or the highway. I am not working with you if you're outsourcing your nutrition to somebody else. Why? Because exactly as I said previously, I'm most probably, if not definitely, going to violate everything that other person has told you. I'll explain why, but I'm certainly not going to have you counting calories and tracking macros and all of the other things that you've been told to do. And so this is where it's really important that the further you get in your career and the more experienced clients that you work with and the older the clients that you work with, all the clients get very set in their ways. So if you're a young trainer, you really do have to hold a strong doctor frame. You're the boss. You might be 23 years old, but when it comes to the training and the nutrition, if you have built your confidence because you've invested in yourself, you've invested in your personable skills, you read up on worldly affairs, you can converse with somebody who's 45 and a C-suite exec, they're going to respect you. They're coming to you for your expertise. Don't let the client tell you what to put in their nutrition program. The client will completely lose respect for you. When your client comes in and you're a 25-year-old PT on a gym floor and you say to your client, tell me what you ate yesterday. Well, the dog ate my kid's homework and blah, blah, blah. And then I was running late and the traffic this and the train didn't do this. And then I went to Pret. Stop. Did you or did you not have 30 to 50 grams of protein in your breakfast? No. Right. Did you or did you not have 30 to 50 grams of protein in your lunch? No. Okay, that's all I need to know. So what are we going to work on for the next week?
I think that's aligned to identity, actions and behaviors.
Exactly
right?
that.
Because here's one of the biggest issues I see in the industry. I'm 48 and I've been doing it 25 years. I'm not here to upset you. I'm here to advise you because I'm 15, 20 years ahead of you where I see your bottlenecks coming up. I've had people in the last year that have worked with us who have paid the money to join the coaching program. And when they hear what it is that they need to do and who they need to become, I've had them leave and, like you said, unfollow. What they're actually doing is choosing to avoid who they need to become.
I've done that.
Yeah. And look, it's not a uncommon thing for people to do. I hear it and I unfollow, but then 6 months later, you notice that they're refollowing you.
Yes.
And you're like, okay, cool. I don't have a problem with
Absolutely
you.
not.
And I never have
Welcome
a problem
back.
with you. Welcome back to following me. Because something that someone said, when I see an unfollow of a client, I know that's a them thing, not a me thing. I've held the mirror. I can't understand coaching that doesn't challenge. I do feel that we need to befriend our clients. I think part of great coaching, as John Maxwell talks about, Simon, myself, and James, who are our scale coaches, were talking yesterday.
Can I just say how great Simon and James are?
Yeah.
Like your team is amazing. You know, all of them, like your whole as a team with Coach Concierge, like you work so well together as a team, but like individually.
Well, we've got James and Simon who look after
amazing.
our scale clients, and their clients are above 10 to 15K. And I'm very pleased with that because the work that we do is actually based on transformational change. That's the thing that separates us, right? We've got Bryce and the performance coaching team. He's the head coach in the build program. That's coaches under 10K. They are all facilitating identity development. Now, we don't call out identity on every single call we do, but we have this is where AI has been incredible for us. We actually have an identity AI.
Amazing.
And basically, when we take the transcription of the calls that they deliver with the calls, we have the GPT analyze identity behavior. So it's language and behavior it picks up, and then it does a written feedback as to what they're hearing, what it's hearing, and then we give back to the coaches, or the coaches have it, so that when they have the next call, they can hold the mirror up based on what they hear. Say, look, just so you know, this is the language we're hearing. Now, if your language and your actions are not aligned with where you want to be, if you want to make 10K or build your reputation or get better results, let's make sure that what you said, Rach, let's make sure that that behavior is aligned. You know, one of the things about me wanting to build where I want to get to, if I want to get to a particular place with my brand, my reputation in an integrity-based and authentic way, but my actions are 90% sales, they're not aligned.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm trying to focus on money and getting clients, but if I'm not spending time developing the team, developing the structure, like that was not aligned. And that's why I could feel that lack of alignment. So I see a lot of coaches are misaligned with their behaviors and actions, but they say they want to get somewhere. And I think that just creates complete turmoil and stress, because you say you want to be doing something, you say you want to be somewhere, but your actions and behaviors are not aligned. And so what we do is we listen to it, and then we just have a reflective question. Would the person who's achieving this be acting and behaving in that particular way? And therefore, if they wouldn't, what would be the actions and behaviors of somebody that would? And I feel that's a good reflective conversation and question to have with people. You know, if I was to sit watching you do your day and you didn't know I was there, what would I see?
Well, everything that I've been...
For everybody, right? As in not just you, but coaches.
What would you see?
If I follow you, but if people see me, you know,
it's like that saying. I can't remember who said it, but it's not what you show. It's like it's those small behaviors that you do when nobody's looking.
Yeah. Well, the great thing I heard was, image is what other people see, or you want other people to see, right? Identity is what you do when no one's watching.
That's the one.
Yeah. And it was so interesting because, you know, there was a time in my life where I wanted everybody to see something, but it wasn't congruent. But then as we get older, I'm less bothered about what people see, even though my image and how I present myself is more to do with myself rather than what I want other people to think. But the actions and behaviors and identity that I truly do embody have to be aligned. And I think that we are, I don't think we're living in a world, I think this has always been a thing, but it's amplified by how much noise with social media is out there, and the emotional intelligence of people has enabled this dysregulation of identity, actions and behaviors. And I do think there's a lot of people living through their life, or living a life and building a life that someone else has told them what to do, rather than building what they want. And that comes back to your three questions.
Yeah, and that also leads to that feeling of, is this it?
Yeah.
You know, we deal with lots of women in their 40s, 50s and 60s even, who have got it all on paper. They're like, is this it? You know, really? I thought life was going to be more than this. And it's because you built a life that somebody else that you thought was going to be aligned for you, but it's not, because it was built on somebody else.
And how do you, within a coaching program like that, for example, and we can share both our own experiences with this, because as professional coaches ourselves, you know, somebody comes in and we've got this distance between, we know where they need to get to and where they are right now, but they can't see it. What's the first step really in, you know, you got a woman that's successful on the outside with money and family and holidays and everything else like that, but she knows that she superficially thinks she just needs to lose weight. But you see that there's a whole journey you want to go through. You don't want to overwhelm them by saying, I know what it is. We need to go on a spiritual journey together. Because you just throw them out the door.
Throw them out the water.
Yeah.
So it's
what's the micro steps that, if a woman was coming to you as an entrepreneur who is successful on the outside, but unfulfilled on the inside, without overwhelming her and panicking her, if she was sat with us right now, what would be the first 1 to 2 steps?
Well, give them what they want, show them what they need, and then ask questions. And so this comes back to sales, actually, which is what I wanted to talk about, because something that you said earlier was a lot of the coaches that you're seeing are almost afraid of sales, which is not what we're seeing on social media, where everyone's selling on social media, and, you know, a lot of, you know, day-to-day coaches.
They're scared of sales, but they're happy to put a CTA at the bottom of a post because that's still selling.
Right, okay.
And they don't think it is, right? They think they're not sometimes.
So let me tell you something now, that if you are not good at sales, you are not a good coach.
Yeah.
You must learn to sell. It is part of your job to get somebody over the line. And listen, I hate I hate hard sales, objection handling, blah, 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 right? All the objection handling should have been done by the time you get somebody on the call.
And through your content.
Exactly that.
And if you can't say the truth, a lot of your selling skills happen way before the call.
Exactly that. So by the time you get to the call, you shouldn't be needing to objection handle. It's a case of actually the client selling themselves to you by the time that you get on the call.
Unless your content is all about nice stuff.
Fuck nice.
No, but the truth is,
there is a big difference between being nice and being kind. Being nice is, you're fat, you're overweight, oh, but don't worry, I'll pat you on the back and tell you everything's going to be all right. It's not going to be all fucking right, right? Being kind is, you're fat, you're overweight, here's what we need to do about it. Let's remove emotion from the situation so that we can get to the result, right? That's being kind. Being nice, being kind, two vastly different things.
I completely understand it, and I understand how hard it is for you right now and all that. That's being really kind, but you have to just get that mirror up, get rid of the fluff and the bollocks.
Literally,
actually,
like,
yes,
makes me see.
But you know what? You liked this post yesterday. What was it? And I liked it as well. Gary V.
Oh, that was so good.
Wasn't it great?
It was so good. Gary Vee made a post yesterday about 8th place. Oh, listen, I could go
He
off.
said the word, right?
Yes.
We can say the word.
We are making kids pussies. They are weak, not resilient. It's self-entitled. And I'll tell you what the problem is, right? Gary Vee said this first. I'm going to echo him. Children are being taught the fear of failure. Children are afraid of failing because they're being given 8th place trophies, participation medals, participation certificates. This happened to me last year. In Zabby's class, my son is 7 now. So he was in year 2. And no, it was one of my kids. And that's what it was. It was like World Book Day or something like that. And they had to make this book in a box. And the kids put a fair bit of effort into this book in a box. I had to go and get all of these arts and crafts and whatever. The kids, to be fair, my daughter's 5, my son is 7. They spent a lot of time and work and effort on this like craft box. They took it into school and I said, good job, guys. Well done. See what happens. Neither of them won, right? BFD. Zabby came home and I said, oh, who won the book box? And he said, oh, so-and-so. And I was like, oh, good job. Was it good? He goes, yeah, it was great. Right. No emotional reaction whatsoever. There was a mother that posted in these WhatsApp chats, which, as you all know, I hate group WhatsApp chats, especially school WhatsApp chats. It would have been nice if the kids had some kind of certificate or some kind of acknowledgement for their effort in creating this book in a box. I was like, oh my God, Rachel, don't say anything. Don't say anything. Put your phone down. Don't say anything. And I said, I do not want my child to have a participation certificate. Period. There were crickets. Nobody said anything, right? And I think that this is the culture that we are in now. We are breeding self-entitled children who are afraid of failing, and they are no longer resilient because we're doing everything for them. Tying the shoelaces, packing their lunch, doing everything for them. All little Johnny needs to do is get in a car, wake up in the morning and go to sleep at night. So I love jiu-jitsu, right? Both my kids are in jiu-jitsu. Why? Because it's hard. They're getting shouted at. They're getting told off. They're getting told that
they're getting hurt.
They're getting hurt physically.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I played rugby for a long, long time in my life, and I was hurt. It was cold. It was wet.
Miserable.
At 17 years of age, I walked east to west coast of Iceland because my dad said it would be character building.
It is
and
character
it was the
building.
hardest thing that I did, and at that age, just
misery.
I look at everything that I did, and similarly, Mason, I'm even now we're sending him off to gymnastics to try and learn some discipline, and we want to get him in his martial arts when he's older and actually start learning these things, because I completely agree with you. I am in the fitness space at the moment, Rach. We'll get back to sales in a second because I think this is still important. I am seeing at the moment really wet, weak fitness professionals.
Oh, absolutely.
For us, and I will say it's different, when we were growing up as PTs, it was culturally normal to graft on the gym floor.
Imagine Charles. Charles would be literally
turning in his grave.
right now.
But we had to deal with resilience when people resist. People said no to personal training. You had to do the long hours on the gym floor, and you never questioned it. You did it.
Just did it.
Now we've got coaches that are feeling that they need to be entitled to money without building a brand, without doing time on the gym floor, and they're believing that it's easy to make money. And I think that this gap, if we're not careful, over the next few years with the rise of AI, and I think it's wonderful, and I'm all for it, that this gap will just breed more weakness.
Absolutely. And I think we've got to, from kids now,
as humans, as parents, right?
As humans, as parents, embrace the suck, right? And keep the graft going. That's not to say that you have to make things unnecessarily hard, by the way, because, I've got clients who are, in their 40s and they're people pleasers, perfectionists, workaholics, stress addicts. You're making things unnecessarily hard, but that's the traits that made you successful in the first place and not the traits that are going to, have you fly now. But things need to be a little bit harder sometimes for kids.
Or I do think that you as an individual, do a 12-week transformation, do a bodybuilding prep show, do a high rocks, put yourself through a personal challenging environment or something that's going to stretch you. You've got people doing marathons. I've noticed that there's less and less people challenging themselves to hard stuff.
Okay, so I would say that I challenge myself a lot, right? Whether it's doing different things. So recently, over the past couple of months, I started jiu-jitsu. And I went to my first adult class on Monday, right? So I've been having private classes, blah, blah, blah. And, it's tiring. You get blah, blah. I can tell you now, I got absolutely fucking smashed.
Really?
It was honestly, Mark, it was probably the hardest training session I've done in at least 10 years.
Wow.
I was gassed. Those training sessions where you're like, there's nothing left in the tank here. And it was a mix between, I felt that feeling of being a little bit afraid of my blood sugar was crashing. I had to go and get a juice afterwards. I mean, these are the things that I don't do, right? But I finished the class and I was like, I did it. I was not expecting it to be that hard. But when I was in it, I was like, God, it feels good to hurt again.
Yeah.
It feels good to really push again because, of course, we train hard. We train hard all of the time. But then you do something different. And I drove home, my adrenaline was pumping. I mean, my heart rate took till 1 a.m. to go to bed, to come back to resting heart rate. My adrenaline was pumping. I was smashed. Am I going to go and do it again? Yes. And it was really challenging because I got off the mat and I thought, oh my God, can I do this again? I thought I was fit. I'm not fit. I'm just not that fit.
Yeah.
And so that was a real wake-up call for me in all of the best ways, and I certainly wasn't expecting it.
But in our industry, this is where I'll flip this back to sales for a second. When a coach does a sales call, if it doesn't go well, they're the first to message the group saying, "Oh, I'm failing on sales." I was like, "Do you know how many thousand sales calls I've done?"
Exactly.
Do you know, I've been on a night out and I couldn't find any girls. I'm like, go out again.
Go out again, yeah.
Go out again. I can't get a job. Go again. And that's the thing. I don't think that, you got stories of salesmen before they actually then start selling high ticket, doing door-to-door knocking. It's the graft, it's the grind. And I think that the problem that we've got, and I will reference this, no one's having a job before coming an online coach. They're not doing PT on the gym floor for years. They're not working for a corporate for years. They don't have a job. They're basically a 22, 23 doing the gym and then becoming an online coach, even at 21. So you've missed out a gap of graft. And for me, I came into the fitness industry having done 5 years in real estate and really understanding how hard it is to just be told what to do, when to do, what systems, what protocols you need to follow. And that's interesting because you and I are talking off camera about, in my honest opinion, if you're really, really nervous about building an online business, but you love the fitness industry, it's not going to hurt you to just do 1 or 2 years working for somebody else.
Absolutely.
Like my late father used to say, Mark, the best thing you can do is to get paid to learn, because you don't have the responsibility of the sales, the marketing, the responsibility that goes with that. You get a consistent level of income and you learn the craft. And as an online coach today, there are thousands of good online coaches that need coaches. You say, I'm looking to work for somebody. It's like, great. I'm under no illusion that coaches are not going to work for me for 10 years, unless obviously there's a great career progression within there. And if you go and work for a coach for 2 years, if you go and work in a gym, that's the problem we've got. People are not prepared to learn the fundamental skills in that environment. And you might have somebody, I know Daniel Priest is a big fan of going to work for a low-level entrepreneur and learning the skills, whereas we've got other people on the other hand will say, no, if you're an entrepreneur, you should start that business now. My worry for a lot of people is, start that business now if you've got the entrepreneurial behaviors, characteristics and traits, the resilience, the drive, and you're prepared to get punched in the face and it fucking hurts.
1,000 times over every single day, actually.
Well,
the rest of your career.
Within the first 2 months of being a PT, a mate of mine found me in the back of my car crying.
Yes.
And I'm like, I was 22. Like, why are you crying, bro? And I was like, man, I have been in this gym all day and no one wants PT. Yeah. And then I went, maybe you need to study sales. Yeah. And I was like, okay. So with LA Fitness, I did an afternoon course. And then within 4 months, I'd filled my PT diary.
Right.
So
sales is amazing.
Sales is amazing.
So this is where I think we have to distinguish between, like, let's see the two worlds, and this is where the nuance is the online world of what you think everybody's doing, and then the real world of PT, of what everyone's really doing. Now, everyone in the real world over here does need to get better at selling, because when you get better at selling, you will be able to help more people.
John DeMartini says selling is helping.
Absolutely it is. And I will go as far as to say that if you are not prepared to sell and hold a mirror up to a client, you are being selfish, because this is not about you. This is about the client, right? And then irrelevant of it, like, you do everything that you need to do to try and get that client over the line. And one of the things that you said earlier is, we've got this gap of, this lady who's over here and she's got it all on paper, but she's coming for a fat loss transformation because she thinks that that's going to be the one thing that's going to get her to feel fulfilled. What's the gap in between? The gap in between is making sure that I see that person for who they really are. And I've got this unique ability, intuition, call it experience, where you know what somebody needs and you have to almost create that identity for them. Because when you get to a certain point in life and a certain point in your career, it's very difficult sometimes to use your imagination, because you're so busy making a million decisions every day. You're fatigued. You've got decision fatigue. You've got everyone else to look after except yourself. And one of the first exercises that we give all of our clients, and I've talked about this online, I've talked about it on Reels, is that we do a top 50 exercise. So write down a top 50 things that you want more of in your life. And the number of women they've got everything. They message and they'll say, but I can't get more than 20 things. And one of the things that comes up is the self-judgment of, but I feel bad for wanting that. And then there's the mum guilt. And then, but if I do that, then somebody else loses out. But what happens in reality is that if I create an identity for somebody and help them create that with them, they start to see it. And then one of our new clients who onboarded her 2 weeks ago, she sent us a WhatsApp yesterday, and she said, I went out for I did all my steps, and she's in the medical industry. She said, I went out, I did all my steps, and I didn't really want to go out. But when I came back, one of my kids said, I'm really proud of you, Mummy. You did what you said you were going to do. And she said, I can't believe that happened. And I said, because you're showing up as the better version of yourself, and your kids, your husbands, they'll all see that.
Well, doesn't the better future version of you, all it wants is for you to do the things. All it wants is for you to do the things that are aligned with where you want to get to.
Exactly.
And it will reward you. I always say with identity, the first thing we need to do is identify where you're going.
Yes.
As you said, where you want to get to.
That identity.
Right? First and foremost, where are you going? Right. And so for me, when a coach comes to us, first and foremost, I'm big on vision planning. And I agree with you. I've done 5 years before. 1 year is the max I'd go to now. So I go, where are we going? Where do you want to get to? And there's a lot of people that can't articulate that. If we can't articulate that, I know we're living in a borrowed identity. because what the hell is going to inspire you to move forward?
Yes.
I want to make 10K months. That's not a vision.
No.
Because it's just empty. There's no reason.
No.
So we create the vision, and then we look at, okay, that person that's there, what are the actions and behaviors? Now, the funny thing is about this, and I used to talk about this a lot with fat loss, and we do this in bodybuilding, in business. There needs to be something that's able to happen in a short period of time that starts to give you the belief that this thing's possible so you can move into it. So with fat loss, it is, I remember a sports psychologist said to me years ago, he was working with British Superbike riders when I was working with them, coaching them. And he said, I have literally 60 days to get a result. Sorry, 28 days to get a result. He said 28 days. 28 days does not mean he needs to win this, do that, whatever. It's something that's moving you towards the goal. So in this case, it was something to do with body composition, something to do with performance enhancement, not enhancement, but performance development. In business, we look at a coach and say, what would success mean? One person said to me the other day, if I could save myself 5 hours a week, so let's do that in the first 28 days. If I could increase another £1,000 a month. So what then happens is that they start doing the actions of the future self. And so for me, I think a lot of people are like, here's the identity, we need to change it very, very fast. And I think that it's an evolving thing.
Yes.
And if you've got that 1 year goal, who you are today is going to be completely different in a year, but we're not going to be different in a year if you don't start nudging along. And those things that you need to nudge along and actually do, they're the uncomfortable things.
Exactly.
It's only the repetition that's going to make it stick.
Yes, but those quick wins. So give them what they want and show them what they need.
Yeah.
So if a client comes in with fat loss, you know, a lot of the time they also need to lose weight. And so I'll get fat off them quickly. And so, you know, I used to, back in the day, oh no, you know, sustainable fat loss, it has to be slow. No. The best way to do it, right, is fast.
Honestly, Rach,
get it off
and
fast.
I do believe, even in business, this is a lovely point that I'd love to ask your opinion about. In the industry at the moment, we have a massive problem in coaches, and this will be the same in fat loss, and it has been for years. You know, Charles was a big fan of the 12-week body transformation, of which I'm a huge fan of.
Yes.
However, the skill that's lacking is the identity change on that journey.
Yes.
Because a coach comes into, I've had many coaches come to us that have been making 2K, and they've said, I've been in a program, I've got to 15K, now I'm back at 3. I have been responsible for some of those as well, because you will have got clients lean and then they've got fat again.
Yep.
But what's that problem? The problem is that the person has gone on the journey to get the money, the person has gone on the money to drop the body fat. They've either been resistant to all the other changes that they need to make along the way, or they've got there, simply just obviously focus on that one thing. So if somebody comes into your world, a woman, and the goal is, okay, short term, 8 weeks, we're going to get you in the best shape of your life. But what has to happen in those 8 weeks to make it long term, to sustainable?
Okay, so I always say, and this is a line that I stole from David, fat loss is an emotional problem. And so business also is an emotional game.
The great saying in business as well, 90% of business problems are personal development problems.
They are.
So you've both said the same thing.
They are. And we've both been through, I mean, first part of my career, I was all about the strategies and the systems tactics and frameworks and obsessing over what color the buy now button should be on my ClickFunnels account. And then you realize none of that shit really matters. And so what matters is the ability to regulate one's emotions. And so what we do, whether I'm running 21 Body Elite, which is our 3-week rapid fat loss transformation program, I will start seeding in there next level self, next level behaviors. And it might be something as simple as having a set of core standards to give somebody. And so I'm already at that stage, just like pushing their identity standards a little higher of, we always do this. We don't try to do this. This is what we always do. This is just who we are, and this is just what we do. So I'll give you a small example. In all of our communities, we have a no victim, no complaining rule, and no enabling. So it might be something as small as, if you've had a fuck up, we all do, right? We all fuck up from time to time. Don't come and post that in the forum. I fucked up. Oh, I feel so bad. Oh, I'll start again on Monday. All you are doing is reinforcing the pattern and the belief that I fucked up and looking for external validation that that's okay. This is the difference between being nice and being kind. Being nice is, oh, don't worry about it. We all fuck up from time to time. You can get back to it on Monday. Being kind is, why did you fuck up? What did you do? What were the things that happened before that fuck up? So let's just say, for example, it might be something, a client's been in the office all day. They need to get gas on the way home, stop at the gas station and pick up a donut, whatever it might be, and then that's just spirals because then you feel bad when you get home. Open a bottle of wine, realize you got no food in the house, order pizza, and then like the shit hits the fan. What were the behaviors and what were the triggers that happened before that event happened? Mm-hmm. So it might be first thing in the morning. I didn't sleep very well last night for whatever reason. Got into work and realized that I had this email from a client that was complaining about something, and I didn't really think too much about it. I sent an email back off, and then I went to get a coffee and I spilt my espresso on my white t-shirt. That was really annoying as well. And it can be simple, trivial things that just lead to that one point in time. So awareness is super important of why you're doing certain things and why you're doing certain behaviors. So going back to your example of, somebody making a lot of money in that short period of time, all they've got caught up in is the dopamine of more money, more money, more money, quick, 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 quick. But what they're not taking on board and what they're not realizing is actually being in that moment of seeing that client for who they are, having that minute. And it sounds woo-woo and everyone talks about gratitude and blah, blah, blah. Gratitude is important. But the way that you can do it is just a minute to say, thank you. And I'm so grateful to be able to help you. Mm-hmm. And so it's small things like that do make the big thing, because then that feeds into your identity later on of somebody who is a grateful person. I appreciate everything that I have. And I'm excited for my continued growth. Show me how good it can get.
Well, I think if you look at identity, what you've just described then is feeding the engine.
Yes.
So, for example, with AI, what you feed it is what you get back.
Yes.
If you're very good at prompting, you'll get a really good feedback back. If you actually understand how to use it properly, it's insane. If you go, how do I get better at this? You're going to get a really wishy-washy answer. So identity for me loves input.
Yes.
And it loves the structure of input. And I feel that if we're moving towards an identity of performance and success, and that's determined by how you look, how you feel, how you live, how you love, all these things. For me, I'm very, very intentional. And I think that's another thing identity loves.
You're one of the most intentional people I know.
Thank you.
And operate with integrity. And I have to say
hard,
that.
Though, right?
Yes, it is hard. But I don't think operating with integrity is hard because it's part of who you are. But operating with intention is hard because it can be faced sometimes with challenge from other people, and people will judge you for the way that you operate and why you do what you do. I'm sure there were plenty of people who were pretty pissed with the pivot that you made.
Do you know what?
There's a lot of resistance there.
Do you know where the biggest resistance is? Is me. And I'll be truthful with this. Can you be a great business mentor when you're not always talking about how to make money? That's what was ringing through my brain, because at the end of the day, if the goal is to ultimately help coaches make a lot of money, then yes, that's what I've got to shout about a lot.
You do, but...
So here's the deal. Obviously, if you're a fat loss coach, you're always talking about fat loss, right? If you're a business coach, see, to me, I think there's a part of business being wrapped up in just money. But if you look at business, if you actually look at functional medicine and you look at health, I think health, people get, and I will come back to identity in this because I'm going in a roundabout way. Health, it's absolute bollocks to think that health is nutrition and exercise.
Oh, completely.
Like, I was talking to somebody about this functional medicine. The way we look at my son is he's a bundle of nerves, ligaments, tendons, joints, muscles, fascia. Like, let's get freaking deep. Brain. So much depth. at even the base level, but that's 10x deeper than everybody else. So what he thinks, what he acts, what food he has, the interaction of all the cofactors of nutrition and the hydration. You got this machine, there's the organism, right? And our responsibility as a human being is to not say, I just want to be healthy and then just eat well. It's such a naive way to live.
It is.
Naive. And if you think that how you act and how you feel, Joe Dispenza, your personality is a mixture of your beliefs and behaviors. And I think that, so much of what's wrong is that people basically take, I am this way, so I am this way. I'm like, dude, you haven't even tried to be a different way. You haven't even tried to be a different way. And I get that there's physiological challenges and psychological challenges, but until you've actually tried to adjust your own physiology in any other way, whatever you have as an ism could be less of an ism if there was an intentional way to either understand it or control it or develop it through nutrition. I was even talking to Marsh the other day. Someone said, yeah, my son's got this a little bit of a skin challenge on his legs that he got from hand, foot, and mouth that he had in Dubai here. And they said, it's something he'll grow out, it's okay. And I said, I disagree. It's probably something genetic. Well, if you look at the work of Mark Hyman, nutrigenomics is all about how nutrition can alter your genes and how they're expressed. So then I went into what nutrients do we think he's deficient in? B vitamins, vitamin D, vitamin E. Great. What foods is he potentially deficient in? If he has that gene expression, let's change those. So this comes around a roundabout way. You're probably thinking, Jesus, Mark, you've gone around a roundabout. Like, I'm so fascinated with how optimal I can be. If that's my intent, and I'm prepared to put on the line for the next 10 years just to make a monetary figure and miss out all this beautiful journey of health, spirituality, mindset, like this level of conversation we're having here. So when we actually look at how many miles away are we from how good we could be? So then you look at the identity that you need to become. So wherever you are now, if you're intentional about the next step, just choose the next step. So when they come in a coaching program like with yours, they want to lose weight. It's like, no. You actually want to go to the next level of your higher self.
Yes.
Do you agree?
Yes.
So when you come into a business coaching program and you say, I want to make 10K a month, that's like saying health is nutrition. It's the same bollocks.
It's
the same
like
bollocks.
The tip of the teeny tiny tip of the
wanting
iceberg.
10K is, talk to me about what you really want.
Yes.
I want to have an abundant life. I want to be able to travel. Okay, great. I want to feel free. I want to feel happy in myself. I want to build an amazing business where I'm changing the lives of all these different people. That's a vision. Now what's the identity that we need to build to match it? Because my friend, if we start doing all that stuff, 10K is going to be pocket change.
Yes.
So let's go on a journey to build all that. And I truly do believe that if there's an intentional person that's goal is solely money, good on you. I have a goal of a revenue level, which I don't think anybody should not have. I think we should all have that. But why have we chosen that revenue level? Why have we chosen to look a particular way? And ultimately for me, if you have a financial goal and then there's an identity that matches that, there needs to be a vision that backs it up, which you can articulate.
Yes.
Because if there's 10K without a vision and without a roadmap and an identity that you're working towards, it's an unfulfilling number, because when you get there, my friend, it's not exciting.
It's actually kind of, I will say it's boring. Whether if your goal is to get to 60 kilos and you hit your goal, it's very boring, because then the game is over. Where do you go from there? One of the things that really drives me, and I'm very passionate about, is that I speak to hundreds of women, and I've spoken to thousands of women in the past who have never looked in a mirror and thought, I look hot. That's really sad.
It's a big thing of yours, right? Love that.
That's really sad. Like that a woman can't look in the mirror and go, I look fucking hot. And you don't have to look like your picture perfect Barbie doll, but you have to know on the inside of, it's not about the external. Yes, all right, we can get weight off you. We can do stuff to make you feel more aesthetically pleasing for what you like as an individual, because what I like might be different to what my client likes, and that's completely different. But what hot is a state, and hot is what comes from the inside out, right? The inside. And so I teach women how to be hot and feel hot from the inside. It's got nothing to do with the external, but it comes out in the external because then they become magnetic and they become influential. And I have spoken to enough men to know that what is the biggest turn on for a man, and it's to see a woman in her power. It's to see a woman who knows that she's hot. This doesn't come from a place of arrogance. You see, we're in Dubai, there's plenty of beautiful women here. Honestly, some of them are dead ugly because their personality is ugly. Like it's not a very.
But you feel that. I said to Marsh,
you can feel it.
I'm
It's an
looking for a
energetic
complete
exchange.
Woman. I'm looking for a complete woman.
Oh my God. When I met Marsha, I fell in love with her the day we met at Gaucho's back like 12 years ago, whenever it was. You know, you said, oh, I've got somebody I want you to meet. And she rocks up and I was like, oh, she's perfect.
But you know what? We were able to talk about who's hot, who's physically
Of course,
hot.
David and I do too.
But this big thing for me is what makes hot. I think internal self-confidence. I think lack of self-confidence is not hot.
No, it's not hot.
It's not hot, and I think pride in you, and I think that your actual depth of conversation and ability to articulate your own emotions and feelings and not shy away from them. So when I say to Marsh, by the way, you know, when we go to a beach club and there's a sexy body. There's not one part of me. I will look at a woman and see a body, and you'll have that immediate magnetic feeling as a woman will to a man's
Good
singular.
Rig.
Good rig, hot, sexy,
Yes.
fine. But do you know what? To me, it's one of many. And if you have one, it's like they always say, if you have a hot woman that lights up a fag, she goes down to a one.
Exactly. Yeah.
So the minute that you open your mouth, the minute that you talk, the minute that you have a discussion, like there are many, many things. So when I met Marsh, I went through a big phase in my life where all I was looking for was tits and teeth. My mum used to say it's all I'd look for. And it was true. I'd just meet a girl. My mum would go, for fuck's sake, you know. And then my biggest challenge was when I met Marsh, because she was everything that I wanted. And the funny thing was, it was that she had the caring, the loving, the values, the integrity, the look. And then I think that everybody can end up with all that. And I think that I've got my definition of what hot is for me.
Same.
But I also think people suppress what their version of hot is because they don't go after what they want. And I do believe Marsh and I, when we met, she went on a 3-year journey of personal development. She studied a lot of personal development. And I was going on mine. And I think that there's a lot of people that end up meeting that satisfy and go, well, I can't become my better self, or I can't lean into this new identity because it will challenge the relationship I'm in. And so they stay. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes
so for
complete
example,
sense.
if you've got, I remember people saying, you know, we've never really got in shape because it's not something we've ever really done. I'm like, you haven't got in shape because if you got in shape, you'd want to leave her.
Yeah.
Or if you got in shape, he'd probably want to leave you.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of people that are in that position where they don't challenge how much better they could be. It's not just about wealth, health, body, mindset, spirituality, all those things. I think that true fulfillment in life is ever expanding and ever growing, and we never reach our potential, which is what comes back to what I want to help coaches with. Is what I do is I always say to Marsh, I'm going to go through many different identities. If Dubai isn't our end game, I haven't got an end game. I've just got growth. And if the wind blows in a different direction, let's go. And I know that over the years has made people like my family quite challenged. Like, how can you just up, stick and leave and your family? I'm like, I'm not. I'm just living life.
Well, you and David had this conversation.
I'm living life, and I don't mean to disrupt anybody with me living life, because I'm trying to live mine.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when I move, I allow my identity to just move into the new versions of me. So when somebody goes, "Oh, look, you moved to Dubai, you're chasing the low tax," I'm chasing the version of me that's growing.
Yes.
And Marsh and I do that together very intentionally. We talk about growth, talk about development, you know, whether it's phases of having a child or phases of me going through a storm in the business. I think that all comes with the pursuit of excellence.
So when David and I moved over here in 2017 and you guys came in When did we
23, it was. It's
2022?
22, back into 2022.
We were delighted. We're like, finally.
Yeah. It's mad. It's mad. And I just think that...
I'm pretty sure we actually manifested that, because the number of conversations that David and I had about Mark and Mark should move over here. Why is Mark still in the UK?
No, well, David just nudges about Abu Dhabi.
I know. It's because he wants you to be his fishing bud.
I'd love that. And do you know what's funny? I feel there's different seasons coming. And honestly, for yourself, myself, Marsh and David, being accepting and exciting to just explore what those next chapters are. Because I think a lot of people are worried about what their next chapter could look like if it disrupts, and you've used that word today, if it disrupts what now is.
Bring it on.
Right? Do you know what I mean?
The better it gets, the better it gets. And show me
exactly.
How
and that can happen in, I think it's important to meet a partner that's accepting of growth and development and change.
Absolutely.
I remember when we were in London at our old house, and Marsh said to me, "What did you just say?" And her friends were around. I said, "I'm happy to be wherever I am in the world. If the wind blows, change direction, we need to be there." And she went, in the evening, she said, "What does that mean?" And I was like, just be ready. If we both decide to grow and change, we will. It doesn't matter where the kids are, what we're doing, whatever we've got in life. And then sure as eggs raised, we came here, and the next thing we know, we moved. So I think it's a very exciting way for me to live as well. Not, this is where we're stuck, or this is what I am now, because I truly do believe that that's me saying that I'm going to stop growing.
Yeah.
And that comes back to the fitness industry, is that I'm truly fulfilled when I'm helping somebody grow and develop into them. And I do believe that the byproduct of that is exponential wealth.
Yes.
I am chasing money, not to the point of chasing it as a singular, but I'm chasing wealth, happiness, relationships, spirituality, all of it combined.
Because of what it gives
because
you.
It gives. Yeah.
And it feeling and the freedom and everything else that's in it. And one of my that's as part of my impact statement is, I achieve these things, and I've achieved these certain things throughout my career, whether it's a certain level of like career success and wealth and like client transformations and being a fat loss expert and the go-to person for the mentor for execs and female execs. I've achieved all those things, and I promise to teach more people to then access that level of freedom as well. And the more emotionally free I become, the more I've learned from David as my mentor, right? When I met David in 2015, he didn't just become my business partner, he became my mentor. And so the more I've learned about emotional freedom from him, the more I've then taught that. So it's like giving back. And then, you teach different clients, and they go on to go and do RTT or become therapists themselves, and they have a profound impact on their family and then their clients. That's where the amazing wins are.
What you've just said then is incredible, because I think there's people talking about wealth, success, and money to be able to escape your business and the business model. And so, you build it and then you can escape from the business. Brilliant, because there's people doing that. Whereas on the flip side, you've got coaches that want to make money, so they have independence and choices, but they're also deeply passionate about building a brand that evolves, and they are at the helm of that. But the interesting thing for me is the education, the development, the coaching. I still need to be embedded to evolve that. And I think the great coaches want to be a part of that to evolve that too. Yes. And that's where I think that once you make a decision of what vision you are building, and it's true to you and it's what you want, I've been able to look at what I've generated wealth-wise, opportunities-wise, independence-wise, off the back of my reputation. And when you put all those together, that's what I think was missing last year. I'd almost packaged up 20 years of coaching and put it in the bin. That's what I felt was missing. And when I put it in the bin, I didn't feel true. And then when I pulled it back out and felt happier to say, this is what got me here, and this is what I'm getting you to keep, so you can get here. Because I'm the product of becoming a great coach that's turned my knowledge, my skills, my expertise, monetized it into a product and a service and a coaching brand, and made money and wealth as a result of it. So ultimately, I'm teaching coaches how to do that same thing. But if I built my business up, put coaching on the back burner, made money, and then don't do anything else now, that's the model I'd be teaching. But it's not the model I teach. So I think that's packaging up, and takes introspective work, doesn't it?
And so I think, to summarize, enjoy the journey, enjoy life, don't forget to have fun along the way, because we've all been guilty of, doing the hard work, and that's great, graft, but also make it fun. And so what you were doing and where you found yourself on that other trajectory, which wasn't quite aligned for you, you also stopped having fun along the way. And so when you realign, it's no fun. Like, business is fun, life is fun. And so fun has to be part of it. I have a rule now: if it's not fun, I'm not doing it. And that doesn't mean that I won't do the hard shit and the boring stuff. Of course it means that as well. But in life generally, if it's not fun, I'm not prepared to do it anymore.
No.
And so
you'll know, won't you?
You will know. But you have to enjoy that journey. But authenticity, showing up as who you are, what you stand for, and where you're going in life, leading with integrity in who you are and doing what you say that you will do is that's the game. That's the game.
Do you know what? And I think if you do, the final thing that I'll add here is that discovering and understanding all that we've talked about today means that you need to spend time alone. You need to spend time with mentors.
Yes.
And you need to spend time in environments with people that are aligned to what you're trying to build. If you're in a community right now and it's not aligned with what you're trying to build, then it will pull you in a direction for a long period of time where you will believe you're going in the right direction, but you will have a course correction, and that course correction can put you into a storm. And that's harder than the building phase you're in right now. The storm's harder. So to avoid the storm, always sit down with yourself and say, am I building something that's true to me? And that is probably one of the most fulfilling things, because there's many ways to build wealth and make money, but if you're on the wrong one, it will lead you very fast into a storm.
And honestly, I wish I had this conversation or listened to this conversation 20 years ago when I was a 21-year-old trainer straight out of university, and I was working as an NHS physio and, new to personal training career. I wish I knew then what I know now.
Oh, well,
and so
thank
you for sharing your experience, because I think it's an amazing gift to the fitness industry.
And do you know what? To women out there that are entrepreneurial, it's a very lonely world if you are building your business, building your brand and making money, if it's not aligned to a true north.
Yes.
And you and David are just incredible experts at what you do, and you're a leader at what you do, and I know you're transforming many, many women's lives. So, if people are to follow Chase Life, how do they find you, David, and the team?
So the website, the Chase Life. No, sorry, I'm going on to the podcast now. We have a podcast, the Chase Life podcast, and chaselifeconsulting.com, or you can follow me at the Rachel Godfrey on Instagram. What about you, Mark? How do people find you?
Well, at Mark Coles M10 on Instagram is the first place, coaching dash concierge online. And I also have the Mastery podcast, which I'm very excited about, but this is part of This Will Be It, but I'm very excited to realign with my true north again. And I'm going on a 6-month mission to interview the world's best personal trainers, personal brands in the fitness industry, and people who've got the world's best results. And the reason I'm doing that is to connect with those coaches that build the brands that coaches are trying to build, and not necessarily interview people that are just talking about funnels, leads and sales.
Amazing.
Because I feel that there's a lot of people that will teach that, but the personal branding and coaching brand is the thing that's very missing, and that'll connect us to the fitness industry and really bring to the forefront the people that have been doing it the best for the longest. So I'm very excited for that. So that's the Mastery podcast, but we'll do this again. We've done one before, and this is such an enjoyable couple of hours that we spent together. So
thank you so much.
Take care.